Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to Evil Shenanigans World Headquarters and Training Center. Today, we're going to do, what is this, part 4?
Yeah,
on the
four now.
knife?
Yeah, we're on part 4.
Okay, so we've got everything
Let me grab mine too.
here. So we've got everything kind of roughed out, ready to go. Got our handles laid out. We're adding, both of us are using liners on our handle material. And so we're going to go over how you kind of get those set up and ready to go, how you attach them to your knife, and hopefully some good techniques for making that a little bit easier. First thing though, we got to talk about is safety.
Safety.
When we're grinding wood and G10 materials and metal, you want to be sure to wear good protective equipment.
The particles can eventually, could cause cancer eventually. You just never know. So you need to get a good, either an N95 mask or a respirator like this.
And the thing with the iPhone is you can barely understand what I'm saying. So, here we
Or
go.
you can get one like this. I prefer this one. The particles rise, brother. So as we continue today, I've laid out the handle shape on my scales. Just draw the rough outline with Sharpie, and then determine what you want this end to look like.
Are you going to do this in your Bane voice the whole time?
Maybe.
I mean, do you think you're really in charge?
I do feel in charge, yes. So anyway, lay out that shape, and then I backed the liners with masking tape, and we're going to put some super glue on there and super glue them together so that you can profile both of them at once. Because you want to finish out this end piece up here. Once you attach it to your knife, you're not going to be able to sand it again.
That's true. You'll scuff up your knife if you try that anyways.
So all right, we're going to pause the film here for a moment and probably reset, maybe do some time lapse, because this part's going to be really boring.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead and lay some tape out there. And we'll just cut that off. It doesn't take a whole lot of this because you actually want it to come back off fairly easily. The idea with the tape is it'll stick to the tape and not your G10 or your wood or whatever material you're using. Let's see here. Let's see. I like to just decide, okay, which end's got the prettier pattern and make that the largest section of the handle. Actually, hang on. I think I'd set it up originally like this. Okay, so we'll just get it even. Even as possible, anyway. Oh, you put way too much. You weren't paying attention, James.
Well, I was trying to cut mine down to size. Or the tape, at least.
You just want a few dots on there.
Yeah, it'll be okay.
And you might have to clamp it to get it to actually hold. Yeah, I think I'm going to.
That for you?
Here. Just clamp it where nice and even.
There you go.
Okay, so get our ends evened up here. Now we're mostly concerned about the wood part being evened up.
Because the G10 can just grind
G10
out.
is going to be ground off anyway. Trying to film. Turn off your car alarm.
Your neighbors.
Jackasses.
Your neighbors.
It's always something.
We got birds, we got car alarms. We glued up?
All right, so we'll let those kind of just set for a moment. And then we're gonna draw your shape. The best thing I found, so take your knife, take your Sharpie, and kind of figure out what you want that profile shape to look like on the end. Where you want it to stop and what angle you want it to go.
Thinking something like that.
Okay, that'll be cool.
Okay.
All right, so check yours. They're probably stuck now. Super glue goes pretty fast. Put the lid on, James. Damn.
Nope, not.
Not yet? Okay, we'll just clamp them for a little bit longer. You have to be careful with the clamps sometimes when they go mash down. Like
It'll
it'll kind of
kink it
slide your stuff out
Yeah,
of it.
I noticed that earlier, so I was trying to make sure that it's all even as possible. That's probably gonna be the top. Okay.
All right, so once they kind of set up, you basically just lay your knife up there, you know, to your mark, and then figure out, okay, where does it start? How does it, you know, make it just kind of kiss this outer edge?
Right.
Because you want to get into that a little bit and put a better finish on it. We'll even that up maybe first before you do that part. But then you just draw that, and I like to draw this little bit of the profile just to give you a reference point, and you can go ahead and start shaping some of that end, because you're going to want to go ahead and put that downward angle, which I'll show you kind of a cool trick for how to set that
Okay.
and keep it all symmetrical. These will be a little bit different because they're not the typical like handle shape. Which, speaking of handle, so you got that kitchen knife handle. Boom! This is the same kind of wood and liner material that will be on this knife. But how these are a little kind of flat and then have that little palm swell, that pretty much the end of that palm swell is the end of this handle. So we're be a little bit different knife handle shape than typical. These are kind of an odd little knife. So these will be a little bit more rounded. But okay.
I think we're good to.
Okay, yeah, so it usually just takes a couple minutes. So we went ahead and we cut our pins as well. We're gonna be using some brass pins for our lanyard tube. And we've got just some brass pins there. Another brass tube lanyard pin. And then I've made up some that are little brass tubes with a little copper pin in them. So kind of a mosaic pin, but not really. It's just got one thing in it.
Line it up right here.
Okay, yeah, so make sure the front edge of your line, and I like to kind of go up close to one side so you're just not wasting a whole bunch of material. Yeah, take that and then put your little mark here and then up at the top of your line.
And then back.
And then start where that is and draw that swell.
Let's go all the way around.
Yeah, you can, because you're gonna want to cut it off anyway. Okay.
Okay.
So now pull your knife off there and connect those two dots in that similar arc that you laid out on your knife. Okay, so the cool thing about sticking these two pieces together is now you just have to profile it once and both of them are going to be matched together. You won't have to try to eyeball it and get them even and
Right.
mess around with it for 10 forevers. It's a handy dandy little trick. And I would also advise, once we get this kind of laid out and get your initial angle set on there, go ahead and hand sand the end of it. Because then it'll be, you know, if you don't, it's going to be that roughness, whatever it is, forever. Because you can't really get off in there and sand it. You know, you can a little bit, but not very good.
Because this is micarta. So with micarta, it's layers of either linen or cloth or whatever material that they're using. So I think this is some type of a cloth. So you're going to have more of a frayed edge. So The hand sanding is going to be the best way to kick that off.
Yep. This one is that Thuya burl wood, which you put some elbow grease on that with some sandpaper. It just pops really nicely. It has a really nice shimmery effect.
Where do you buy the elbow grease?
You have to get that at the store, I think.
And then does it come from
It's in
real
the-
elbows?
It's in the
or
baking section.
does it come from real elbows, or like do you
I think they're synthetic elbows.
synthetic elbows?
Yeah, no actual elbows are harmed. Okay, so from there, we're probably gonna do a little bit of time-lapsey photography because you won't be able to hear anything over the grinder anyway. But we'll be using our bench grinder, our little belt sander guy, which I think I need to put a different belt on. That's a 120. We want the little bit more aggressive grit. So on this, it'll take me the next 3 hours to change that belt. We'll get that shaped in, and we'll probably do a little bit of flattening on the little bit wider profile one. And so we'll get set up, do some time lapse. Okay, so we've got the rough shape laid out, kind of finished, did some finish sanding on the end. There's James, where he's at. In case you didn't know, micarta smells like death when you sand it,
Or cat pee if you need another
or cat
reference.
pee. This just smells like oily wood. Makes your lungs itchy if you don't have a mask on. All right, so our next step, here, take this. You take the camera for a second. Let's turn off the fan. So hopefully everybody can hear us. Okay, so our next step is you're gonna break your scales back apart and then just stick the tape back down if it survives. Otherwise, just put you another piece of tape on there. All right, and we're gonna come over to our knife. Make sure you get the correct side on the correct side here. And you're gonna put just a couple little blobs. You don't need a crap load. Do you need some to come out though?
Can we use a little razor? Or there's that.
All right. You just kind of get it in the right, more or less spot. The idea is that your scales are just a little bit proud of your tang material. You're gonna have to finish shaping it anyway, so you want the wood or whatever you're using to stick out just a little bit past your tang. That way you can get a nice finish on the ends or the edges or whatever. All right, so we'll get us a little bit of super glue on there. You're only gonna super glue one side for now. We'll clamp it for just long enough for it to set up.
Thank you. This is why you only use a dot of super glue?
Yep. Some lessons you have to learn on your own.
Get the bands off.
Make a mean sound when you pull it apart. That usually helps. or say bad words. We'll censor it. See, this is why you should pay attention, folks. Don't cut your finger off.
Why? I think everybody expects it.
More importantly, don't cut my finger off. Yes. Come apart. Come apart.
Hulk smash. There we go.
Man, you wasted all that tape, James. Damn it. All right, yeah, get you another. That might come out. That's ought to be okay.
Let's just tape this up real quick so we don't have to later. Damn it, new guy.
Cinematography.
Just want to line it up real quick.
Yeah, get you.
Just want to make sure I get it where I need it to be. Okay.
It's always a good idea to kind of test fit some stuff before you
Yeah, definitely.
make it permanent or semi-permanent. That's the most critical, is making sure you have it lined up and you don't have your tang like sticking past the end of your scale material, because then you have to change the shape of the tang if you drill holes and crap in it. So once we drill a hole, that's where it's going to go. There you go. See, dots. And with this super glue, it's not gonna like permanently affix it in the next second or two or anything. So you've got a little time to move junk around.
I think about right there we should be good. Okay.
All right. So here, you take that. Let's see if mine's actually stuck. Yep.
You good?
Yep, I'm good. All right, so what we're gonna do is now we're gonna drill our holes. So I've already got an 1/8 inch drill bit in there. So before you put your slope on there, it's easier to do it if everything's still, flat, to get good perpendicular holes. When you're going through your wood or your handle scale material, just go nice and slow. Don't force it. You don't want it split. Slow, steady pressure. It's gonna cut out of there as you go. That one popped out. This wood is really not forgiving.
A lot of that's gonna sand out, right?
Yeah, it will. They're pretty thick scales. I like to get them thicker than you want, just because it gives you more room when terrible things like that happen. All right, so now change over to our 1/4 inch. Make sure this is 1/4 inch. Yeah,
Handy dandy ratchet chuck.
it's pretty cool.
It really is. Thank you, Harbor Freight.
Yeah, it's one of a few things we've got from them that hasn't immediately broken. Guess we're not gonna get a Harbor Freight sponsorship anytime soon.
Considering this is drill press, what, number 3 for me?
Yeah.
Get that warranty, folks.
All right. So with the gotta adjust the thing here. With the larger diameter drill bits too, you want to be real careful to go nice and slow. Got 3 holes. Oh, and it came off. Didn't really want that to come off yet.
Ruh-roh.
It's all right.
A dot of super glue, huh?
Yep.
Is that yours?
Steven. Okay.
Test fit your pins.
Yeah, you want to test fit your pins. For one thing.
Gotta bore it out a little bit.
Just a bit. Just when you're using a 1/8 inch drill bit to drill an 1/8 inch hole to put an 1/8 inch pin in it, it won't fit. And the regular old drill bits that you get at the store, like the hardware store or whatever, they don't really make the roundest hole in the world either. So you always got to mess with them a little bit. But you don't want to get too carried away, otherwise you end up with a big old gap around your pin when it goes in. Looks like we're in pretty good shape here.
Do you have to gap your 1/8 inch?
Maybe. We'll see. I want to get it lined back up where it's supposed to go first, because I need to glue this one back down. Okay, that'll work for a guy. So again, the idea with using the tape on the back of your handle materials is when you go to take this off, if the glue really sets in, which it will on G10. This wood actually will too. It's kind of oily wood, and it'll be stuck, and you kind of risk breaking them. When you take them back off. Okay, so I'm basically just using that to get them lined back up, because we're going to use this side to drill that side. I'll go back through the holes we just drilled, and that's why I'm saying it's not that big a deal right now to gap the 1/8 inch pins, because we're about to do that.
Oh, when you put the other one through.
Yeah, because we're going to drill them back
Makes
from
sense.
the other direction.
Did you just lose a pin?
No, I was trying to get the damn drill bit.
I thought you lost a drill bit or something. Like, dang it.
No, it's stuck.
If all else fails, brute force.
Yep. This won't get it. I'll use a hammer. There we go. Okay.
Do you think the audience at home knows how hard it is for us to keep this PG?
Yeah. Some of them do. Some of them know they.
I think all
The
this.
kind-hearted. Some people might say heroes. Mostly we would say that.
I think actually all of our subscribers are waiting to see us, blow off in a
Snap and lose it one day.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So you put the other one on. You're just trying to match what you got already on there,
Gotta
at
make
least
sure-
at the front, up by the blade side. The rest of it, if you're off a little bit, it's not the end of the world.
As long as you can grind it back.
Yeah, as long as you're within grinder range, you'll be okay. Just leave a little bit of extra around the perimeter, so you can get a nice shape. So I'll actually dip down just a little bit right there, but we'll match it. Okay, we'll give it the old clampy clamp for a second. Let that super glue set up. Still, the hardest part for me is getting this stupid tang flat.
Mm-hmm.
I found it helps immensely putting the fuller down the center of it, like you can see it on yours here. Show everybody, but
Yeah, kind of a.
you put that groove down the center of your tang. It's easier to get that smaller surface area flat than it is to try to get the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
But mine was so off. I didn't have any fuller left, so I put another fuller in. Mine was a little more out of whack. My taper up here went real steep.
Oh yeah.
Right at the end. But, okay, so if you want to go ahead and drill your first set of holes.
Since we're gonna work on this side, the big one.
So would you say my card is harder or about the same as G10?
It's about the same. It's the difference between the two is literally the smell.
I think that's just the layer. Material that's layered.
The resin.
No, I think it's because like G10 I think is fiberglass, and then it's layered with resin, I think.
Right.
And then that's going to be some type of cloth or paper or
Right.
something. So I think that's the main difference in smell.
But it's just,
Whatever it is, it's awful.
it's god awful. I mean, it smells like cancer. Jeez, what'd you do to my thing? It's all.
I didn't do anything to it, man. I haven't hit that with a hammer or anything. It's probably the
Like your shop.
table thing that's workbench. Is not level.
Yeah, I should have
Yeah,
done a little further.
it's all right. You probably won't have to bore those out. Here, test fit.
Okay. And that's a nope.
Just give them the old countersink or whatever.
Let's raise that up.
Yeah, I'd raise it up a little bit. It's highly likely I bent the end of that drill bit. That's why it's acting a fool.
hand me that brass pin too. I want to check that. The end should be fine, but I want to double check it. Oh yeah, we're good on the.
Yep.
Good on the brass one.
So be real careful doing stuff like this. And it doesn't bind. And take that back on there.
Yes.
These are smaller, fairly low horsepower drill presses. Probably good stuff. Especially if you're just like a great big one. Actual shop, not some dude's garage. Gotta be real careful doing stuff like that. There you go.
It's tight, but it'll work.
Well, tight's okay. Just as long as it'll go in there.
Just spin iron or something. Oh, that one's better.
Ta-da. Hit the other one a little bit more if you want.
Yeah, I probably need to. Better.
Ta-da. All right, cool.
All right, now time to glue the other side up.
Yep. So get your other scale.
Me.
Yeah, trim all that junk up. Hey, mailman's here. I actually don't think I have anything coming now. We got our Empire abrasive sanding belts in a couple days ago. Been using those.
Great quality belts for cheap prices. Thank you, Empire Abrasives.
If you're looking for somebody to sponsor,
These,
know a couple guys.
yeah, they're quite scrappy and up and comers.
Feel free to send us a bunch of crap. We will test it out. All right, so just make sure you get it all lined back up.
Right.
Or you stick it back on there.
Okay. So, gonna about right there.
Yeah.
Keep it. I'm gonna try to keep it proud on all sides so I can.
Yeah.
And I just realized I'm still wearing my respirator around my neck.
It's all right. I'm about to grind again here in just a minute anyway. Thinking your most important reference point is going to be that front section up here. Make sure they're lined up. It looks like they're pretty good.
Yeah, I'm trying to make sure that that is even at the top. Just a skosh.
Because again, that's the only thing you can't change once we get them on there. Everything else we can grind. That's within epoxy range, dude. Imperial walkers have entered the compound. Okay. So now, that's fairly stuck on there. We're gonna go back through. Oh, there's all kinds of crap. So you're gonna go back through the holes you just drilled on the other side. That'll keep everything in an actual straight line. Thanks, man. Gotta raise the table slightly.
Nothing to see here. Just two grown men in a garage with a camera.
Move along.
Still not wide enough.
Yeah, give it a little bit. I'm using those tubes with the little copper pins glued in them. I think they're just a little bit wider than the solid pins that you have. This takes a little bit of extra work, just getting everything laid out, prepping it, you know, with the tape and the super glue and all that stuff. But the end result's much better.
And you're less likely to end up crying, screaming, cursing, and throwing things.
I mean, that blew out too big. It was a big old chunk, though. That was a knot right there. It's alright though. That's why I have thick scales, so you can deal with mess like that.
It's better to have them too thick than too thin.
Yeah. We're pretty dang close.
It feels like our biggest fans are Texas-sized mosquitoes.
Yep.
They really love to come watch us when we film.
They're very interactive. But we do have our Evil Shenanigans brand cologne.
Now with as much DEET as the US FDA will let you have.
Yeah. Which is not enough. There we go. It's also air freshener, room deodorizer. Lower this table just a little bit. This is really pretty wood to work with, Thuya burl, but it's not very forgiving. It's like, it seems like until you get it finished and get all the rough edges knocked off of it, it's super easy to crumble it.
Is it just Thuya burl or is that any type of wood really?
I haven't used a whole bunch of different kinds of wood, honestly. I prefer G10. I've used this, and I've used just regular old oak. Hey. And I've used that red oak. I don't like it. Well, I like it. It's just, it seems to be real hit or miss how it comes out. You know? Some of it's really pretty, some of it's not. And that's on the same piece of wood.
You got the pins over there. Oh, you're trying to.
So when I epoxy these little pins in these tubes, there's always a blob of epoxy on the end. Let's get that knocked off. All right, may change belts out on that thing, and 2 hours later, smooth those up a little bit. Or I could just use that big one. Just use the big one. Hang on, let me smooth these up a little bit. Okay, that should work a lot better. Yep. Okay, so those are my three. Now you go ahead and drill your other side. Oh no, it's gone forever.
See what the pulls it. You can see the fibrous materials in it.
I guess my card is supposed to be like super durable handle material. You know, hard to tear it up, but I don't know if it's worth it.
Yeah, I don't think it is. I mean, some of it looks really nice, but it's not my favorite. I prefer to stick to G10. I got this because it kind of looked like Python scales, and I thought that was like, oh, that's really cool.
Yeah, it does look cool. I mean, I've seen the other one you used it on.
No, this is the 1/8. I think that's the 1/8, isn't it? No, that's the 11/16. There we go.
That should be that one, the one that's all burnt up and. Wait, mosquito.
just a skosh.
Yeah, that almost didn't go under there.
Yeah.
Careful, you knock your scales off. Don't beat up your handle pins there too much. That's the last set we have. I'll have to use some of the drill bits I've burned up, which make pretty cool pins actually.
They really do.
They look like little bow ties.
Yeah, I've used that for several of my knives.
So if you have any mentally challenged friends that drive Chevrolets, you can make them a knife. There goes that sponsorship.
That and Oakley and Haynes wife beaters.
It's just for the Z71 trim package on the pickups.
It's not quite enough. There we
Anyway,
go.
this seems to work a lot better as far as just getting everything lined up. Is when you use a hand drill and you go through one side and then clamp it down and drill through the other side, you end up, it's not actually a straight line all the way through all of them. The drill press makes it super handy, but you can do this with a hand drill. You know, going back through the holes you drilled on the other side. It just keeps everything perpendicular. You just got to be a little more careful with the hand drill. You get it out of whack. It's much preferable to be in whack, not out of whack.
Because that's whack. Are kids still saying that nowadays?
I don't know.
I don't know either. Why am I asking you? You're older than me.
Exactly. You fetus.
Geriatric.
Finally.
Finally,
All right.
3.5 years later.
Okay, so, all right, yeah, you take that. So give it one more test fit, because we're about to glue these scales up. And you really don't want to find out in the middle of having 5-minute epoxy, which is probably going to be closer to like 3-minute epoxy, that something's not lined up right. Like this. Need a little bit more. So the other thing is we want to set these angles because we want that knife scale to not be a big perpendicular square block. We want it to kind of fade down towards the blade. So kind of a cool way to do that that's a 3/16 inch piece. And so that looks to be about where I would like that anyway. So lay it up here flat against your blade edge. And then mark a line on your scales. You just want it to go far enough to kind of wrap around so you can see it on the top and bottom side. And just do both sides. I like using the red Sharpie because it covers up all the blood. Invariably cut ourselves. All right. Save that for later. And then I'll make a mark kind of where I think I want it to stop. It may not actually stop there, but just to kind of get it. And use the old handy dandy speed square to get that lined up. And then from where your line stops there, up at the front, take it back to your other line that you just laid out. So kind of give you a reference point for grinding it too.
Oh, geez, that makes it so much easier.
Way easier than trying to eyeball it.
Yeah, that's how I've been doing it and messing up.
And then do the same thing if you can. Come from the top side where you're basically going to terminate that little slope, I guess. It's going to be, you know, slightly not that shape, obviously, because that's flat and then goes, but it just gives you some idea of where you want to be. So when you're grinding your handle materials, it's a little bit at a time. Don't make big, huge adjustments all at once, because then you can't put it back on there. You can always take a little bit more off, but that'll help kind of get the general idea of how that's going to lay out. Now, if you're making a different shaped one, you know, you may draw in, you know, okay, I want a little swoop-de-doo right here that goes in on the side, whatever. You can kind of lay that stuff out too, just to give you a reference and keep it somewhat symmetrical. The trick, for me, the biggest trick that seemed to help the most was laying out that initial side. You know, getting that thickness even. Just using something to get that set up. But okay, so you've got yours still on there.
Yes.
If you'll go on and lay out what thickness you want, if you like that 3/16, I think it's pretty. It's pretty good. And again, it's not set in stone. It has to be that thickness. You know, you're laying those lines out there just for reference points to make it easier. Yeah, as long as you can see it from the top, you're fine.
Okay.
And then kind of the same deal down there in the finger choil area. The finger swoop-de-doo.
It's roundabout.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's where we keep that now. We're just gonna store it there forever.
How far do we bring it? You bring it.
That's up to you. You're gonna take it and go like this and go. All right, where do I want that? Where do I want that? You know, slope down area to stop.
Okay.
You know, back here,
Yeah.
and then just put you a little mark on both sides so you can get it symmetrical.
Okay.
And then basically from the furthest point up,
Mm-hmm.
connect it to the outer edge.
Okay.
Furthest point on that
Okay.
to the outer edge. And I mean, don't worry, that you're just using it as a straight edge. There we go. James uses his mutant hand for all this, so I'm on the wrong side.
Should look good.
There you go. And then carry that over
That line over.
on the bottom side. And they don't have to be perpendicular or anything. It can be, you just want it to be the same on the left side and the right side.
There we go.
All right, so we got that part laid out. Now we're gonna glue.
So
It's my least favorite thing in the whole wide world to do.
mine
is
too.
epoxy stuff together.
It's everywhere. So just break it apart.
Yep, take it apart.
Gotta glue. That's all you need.
Ta-da. Easy money. Comes right off. It's like a drone shot.
You get yours.
Yep.
And then we'll get the acetone to clean off the super glue.
See? Just a dot. Alright, so these little blobbies that are on there, you can get them off with acetone. If not, we happen to have a belt grinder. I like to just use carburetor cleaner, like B12 or whatever. Yeah, it's not gonna come off. It's pretty set on there. wrap your blade up with something. If you've got it, because we've pretty well finished this already. Because again, once you put your handle scales on there, you really can't get up in that area. So you finish that blade up just a little bit past into where the handle scale is going to go, and then wrap it up with something, because you're about to shape your handle and do all this crap. If you don't, you will scratch it every time. You may scratch it anyway. All right, so here, yeah, clean yours up.
Down in the groove.
It's down in that fuller. Some of that.
Right there.
Yeah, it's fine.
Be all right.
Yeah, it'll be all right. Okay. So now I'm gonna kill those 5 mosquitoes.
Don't you want to scuff that side up?
Pretty scuffed. It's a big chunk of epoxy on there. That one is too. It's not coming off. Well. Okay, that'll work. Get all them big old chunks off. All right. Anyway, so you're using whatever carburetor cleaner, acetone. Just want to get any grease, oils, any of that stuff off there that'll prevent it from sticking. Okay. Let's see. That's that side. That side. And do the same thing to your mouth blank here. Helps if you use a disgusting dirty rag. It's used to already soaking up grease and oil. Just whatever you do, make sure you don't have any fibers from your rag stuck to your knife before you go to gluing it up. It's an even more disgusting rag. Wish we had some more crap up here.
It was clean earlier.
Okay, so some supplies you're gonna need. Your pin material. You're gonna need some Q-tips. You're gonna need your acetone, solvent, whatever you're gonna use. Have your clips on standby. And you need a bunch of this awful shit. All right, so however much epoxy you think you need, go about half that much again. So this is just 2-part epoxy. There's a lot better stuff than this that you can buy. I think G-Flex is kind of everybody's go-to, and I just don't happen to have any right now. But this is all 5-minute epoxy. Okay, so I usually use a Q-tip and then take one of the tips off of it and just use the Q part. I totally can't back that up, but that's what that's called. All right, so get your 2 handle scales. Scoop this down here towards the edge. Knock those over. Spill as much of this on the carpet and the floor and your workbench as possible.
Or please do this in your living room if you want to anger your spouse.
Yeah, the smell is really delightful, by the way.
Better than the micarta.
A lot better than my part of it. Okay, so you just kind of split it up between the 2 of them and spread it across. Try not to drop it when you're rushing over to your knife, because it will land epoxy side down every time. And if you get one that's got a lot more than the other, you can spread the love a little. Really helps if you get it all over your fingertips. All right, then take your pins, put them in one side. And then rush over here, and this is where it all goes to hell. Then grab whatever inappropriate tool that's handy. Just whatever you do, don't use an actual hammer for this part. Okay. Now you want to cut your pins a little bit wider than your handle material so that they'll go through all the way. God damn it. Let's go right there. There. If we do this, do your epoxy, glue everything up, and get your clamp set. Do it before you put that initial slope in there. It's a hell of a lot easier to get everything clamped up tight. And you don't really have to like bear down on this. No, that's not gonna work. Just put my clamps, James.
Under the cat.
Damn it. You don't want to like just go to town clamping on this because you'll actually squeeze all your epoxy out. But you do want everything snugged up, especially out towards both ends. You don't want it to have gotten in a bind or whatever, and that's where you end up with a gap. Now, if you're flat, if you're not quite perfectly flat on your tang, now's the time to figure out where you need to dump some extra epoxy to fill that gap, and just kind of look around at everything. The other thing to do is take one of these handy dandy Q-tips, and while this epoxy is still wet, get it off the blade, because once it dries up, you're gonna have to get kind of violent with it. Sandpaper wise, and you will never ever get those scratches out of that blade that close to the handle scales. So just go ahead and get it off there now. I like to kind of tilt it downward too. Just get as much of it off of the wood as you can. Just be careful you don't wipe out all your marks that you just laid out. All right, and now everything is covered in epoxy. I hate it so much. I'm sure this is really good for your skin. I'll certainly let you know if you have a cut on your hand. Oh, it's so awful. I hate it. Okay, so it says 5-minute epoxy, so it will set up and dry, sort of, within 5 minutes. But that doesn't really mean within 5 minutes you can go crazy and start sanding on it, on your bench sand or anything. Usually after an hour, maybe 2, it's still sticky, still tacky. You can go ahead and sand it if you want to, do some shaping and whatnot. Really the best idea is to let it cure overnight if you can wait that long. You know, if you got to, you can, I don't know why you would have to really though, but if you're an impatient jackass like I am, you can start working on it within an hour or so, maybe 2. It'll be hardened up enough that you're not gonna damage it. The other super critical thing is when it comes time to cut your pins is not to grind them off on your bench grinder. Take a little cutting wheel, like not that, a smaller one of these, and just cut them off fairly close to the handle material. And then you can sand them smooth on your bench grinder. If you grind down that much of a pin, it gets super, super hot and you'll actually melt the epoxy back out and your pin will fall out. If not right then, it will when somebody starts using it. You basically burn up all your epoxy. So take your time, go nice and slow and steady until it comes time to glue this stuff up. Then you gotta go quick like a bunny. Get as much epoxy on your hands as possible. The more that's on the floor and the table, the better job you've done gluing up your scales. That seems to be what I've learned over time. So, all right. I don't have enough clamps to hold yours and mine together just yet. So give that just a minute and then we'll glue yours up.
That's fine.
But okay, we also took some footage. James and I took some footage on our own before we started this today of kind of getting to the point where we started today. So I'll splice that in at some point in this video. I don't know if now or maybe, I don't know. You'll see it at some point in this video. But anything you would like to say?
Remember to like, subscribe, and share, and join the Evil Shenanigans army that we have. So thank you guys for being with us through this journey.
it's been pretty fun. If we finish them today, I don't know if we will or not.
Who knows?
Who knows? If we get them finished today, we'll have the big reveal.
Mhm.
I bet we could probably finish them today.
Probably so.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe you'll see.
What happens?
Hey YouTube, this is James from Evil Shenanigans Blacksmithing. I wanted to give you a quick tour of my shop and show you what I've been working on. So here we go. This basically is the workshop. My bench, my vise, my grinder, my little pot of water, and miscellaneous tools that I need. Here's the EDC knife that you guys have seen us working on. I changed the profile a little bit, and you can tell right here where it's not as blocky as it used to be, and it kind of looks a little more streamlined. So I kind of like the way it looks and kind of moves in your hand now. Here's a hint of the handle materials that we're going to be slapping on that EDC knife. We got the Python scale with the black and red G10 liners. I'll be gluing those together here in a little while. And this is a sneak peek of what I might be putting on my own little special project, the Warncliffe that I've been working on. It's a green and gold looking synthetic marble. Never messed with it before, so it could go great, could go terrible. We'll just find out. All right, you guys. Y'all catch the next episode.
All right. So I've taken it out and hit it with some steel wool. The first round I used like 800 grit sandpaper, and you can see there's a differential hardening line right here. It's referred to as a Hamon line. So this area is softer than this area that got hardened. So it shows up differently after the little bit of acid etch. So far I have to say it's looking pretty cool. You can see it carries through on the spine. Same thing here. Softer up here in this section, and all this kind of darker gray color is harder, so it's kind of carried over back into here. Pretty neat. So now on to just some more finishing work and then getting set up for the handle scales. Should be pretty cool knife. All right, so here's a little footage of the EDC knife. Doing some finishing work on it today. It's currently boiling in vinegar, trying to make that Hamon line pop, and it's actually working. I'll show some update footage after I do another sanding cycle on it. But the vinegar is basically an acid etch. It's a little milder than like a gun bluing or ferric chloride or something like that. And boiling it just kind of helps accelerate it, I think. It seems to be working out pretty nicely though. You can actually see the Hamon line from doing the differential quench on it. So I'll show some footage when I pull it out here in just a little bit, do the second round of sanding on it, and then we'll get set up for doing the handles. Which we'll do when James is here on camera, but put a fuller in on the handle section here. It gives a little area for the the epoxy to set and kind of help bond the handle scales on, but it also makes a lot easier to get just a small surface area flat than trying to get this whole thing flat. So it seems to work out pretty nicely, so I've started doing all my handles that way. But there we go. So there's our state-of-the-art vinegar boiling etch bath, the Evil Shenanigans World Headquarters and Training Center. Have to tell you, it smells pretty awful. All right, so stay tuned for more.
I don't know what to do with my hands. We raced real good.
Okay, so this is going to be our wrap-up video. We don't know where to put our hands. So we have finished up our project knives for the knife making videos. I went ahead and knocked out a sheath for mine, and I just oiled it so you can't see what's on there. But it's deer tracked, a little bit of tooling. here's the finished blade. I really like the differential heat treat so you can see the hardness line. And hopefully this is actually in shot. I really like how the handle turned out, the handle scales. It's a pretty good looking knife. I think this one is gonna go with us to the Electra Gun and Knife Swap on October 17th. So it may be available. So come see us and you might be able to buy this very knife.
And this is mine. I'll get this up here. I really enjoyed this. I really like the scales. It's that micarta, and I've only been working with G10 mostly. Sanded up to a 800 grit finish, then hit with steel wool right after. I said I was going to put the black and red liners, but my red liners got too thin with the grinding, so it's just black liners. With the blade, I originally blued it with gun blue, and then I didn't like that finish, so I took 1000 grit sandpaper, rubbed the blade down so you can see all the little forge marks, and I'm really digging that finish. This one will be coming to the Electra Gun and Knife show as well, but it's going to be on me because I want to keep it.
Yeah, you should definitely keep the first blade you forge on your own.
Yes.
For sure. But so all right, overall, this whole series about making this knife, doing the handles, all that stuff. How do you feel? Do you feel it helped you?
I think it did. It gave me an idea of forging on my own, what it's like, and starting from round stock to making an actual something that's is usable was a lot of fun. Learned a lot of new techniques, particularly like punching and drifting the hole, the grinding techniques, because most of my stuff is stock removal. So I just cut something out of a piece of metal and then just hit a grinder with it. This one was a lot more precision. You had to know where your hammer strikes were going to be and be consistent with it. And I mean, it sparked enough interest where I enjoy this so much, I bought my own hammer.
Yeah. Well, that's great. So what skills from this video series do you think would apply for forging and stock removal?
Definitely with the handle.
Okay.
That was the hardest part for me, is the handle and actually getting it symmetrical.
Okay.
And like some of the tips you gave about, scribing the line to where you know where your angle is going to be, getting your pins just right, gluing it on just right, so you don't burn the pins out,
Right.
don't waste the epoxy. That was really helpful, and I think I can carry that back to what I do at home, along with even if I wanted to drift a hole in stock removal. Being able to come over here, drift a hole, and finish my knife, and then come back and then, thermal cycle.
Right.
Before I heat treat and temper.
The thermal cycling, and that whole heat treatment part, to me, I think that makes the biggest difference. And this is a knife shaped object, or this is kind of an okay knife, or this is a really good knife.
Yeah, I agree with you on that, because especially with the hardness, and
Yeah.
we talked about that on some of your other knives that you've done. You're like, I need to temper this a little bit more at a higher temperature so I can draw back that temper more to make it a little more flexible.
Right.
Because it just depends on what the purpose of the knife is for.
That's it. And I'm afraid a lot of people are going to see shows like Forged in Fire, and they do those brutal tests that they do on that show and think that any knife that you get should be able to do any of that stuff.
Right.
Chopping bricks or chopping,
Right.
railroad spikes or whatever. And that's just really, it's not the case. Yes,
Right.
you can build something set up to where it will survive that, but you're probably not going to go skin a deer with it.
Right. At the end of the day, that's a competition.
Right.
And this is making something that it's a work
Yeah.
of art, really, but it's something that's usable.
Right.
And that
If you
people,
want a big chopper knife, buy one of those. If
Yeah.
you want something real light and slicey dicey, buy one of those.
Right.
You can probably make something that'll do a little bit of all of those, but it may not be as good as any one individual thing. So I don't know. I had a great time doing this. It was really a lot of fun having somebody right there and kind of demonstrate and then watch. And to me, that part was super fun. Was when something clicked for you.
Yeah, exactly. It was a lot of fun, and I can handle the verbal abuse. I held the flashlight for my dad growing up, so I can handle verbal abuse.
Man, everybody needs to have their dad scream at them about a flashlight
Yep.
when they're kids. It
Very much so.
builds character.
Love you, Dad.
I really like the knife, man. It turned out really nice.
Thank you.
I like that finish. I think we ended up with two really good ones.
Two really unique knives.
Yeah, and it's pretty cool that, you know, basically we use the same technique.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same material. You know, at least the metal is.
Right.
You know, and we got two pretty distinct looking blades. I
Right.
mean, there's
Yeah,
a lot of difference here.
Like my hole a little bit bigger than yours. Your knife's a little
Yeah.
bit thicker.
It's all about the girth.
Always gonna bring that up.
I like the griptions.
See, I don't have any jimping, but it's smooth enough to where I'm.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I know. I was like, please don't get caught on
Just
camera.
sharpened it.
I was like, please don't get caught on camera.
All right. Well, any final takeaways from a knife making series you'd like to throw out there?
If you're really interested in getting into forging or any type of knife making, start small. Don't go all out and make something wild and crazy your first go around, because it's not going to go right.
Yeah. Don't start with the sword.
Yeah. Prepare to make mistakes, but learn from them as well, and have fun. Once it stops being fun, why are you going to do it anymore?
Exactly.
Uh,
The best piece of advice I could have to give anybody who's starting off, you know, trying to make knives or anything, is don't be afraid to ruin a knife.
Mhm.
It's okay. Make another one.
Yep.
Try something a little bit different. Try to push it a little bit.
Yeah.
You know,
If your next knife, find something you don't like on your first one and improve on it on your next one.
improve that.
I've ruined 2, maybe 3 knives before I completed my first one.
Yeah.
And then the
and
2
that's
after
okay.
that were complete junk. They broke.
That's okay. You know, I would say don't add too many new things all at
Mhm.
once. You know, if it's your first knife, don't try to do like
Fullers and things
fullers
like
and punch a hole through it and do this and do that. You know, add one little thing at a time.
that. Mm-hmm.
You know, maybe the first time out, just make a functional knife. Maybe your second one, then you try to add something
Right.
else to it. You know,
Find your own style as it goes along. Find a
yeah,
not necessarily blade shape, but a design or something that you like to use that's your signature.
yeah, I agree. I'm a big fan of our swoopy doos we've been putting in.
Yeah, I mean, you've been putting them in everything.
Well, I didn't
since
put
the
any in
machine.
this one actually.
But
I didn't
you-
put any on this one.
Hey, you have nothing around here.
I don't think I have anything that has swoopy doos. I think they've all
The first one,
been bought.
the first thing that we liked doing it was the machete. We
Yeah,
made.
it was that big machete.
And
I
after
like
that?
the little up on the end, having the little swoops cut in.
I think that's.
I don't know
really cool.
why. I don't think it does anything other than it just kind of looks cool.
Makes it go fast.
Yeah, there's speed holes.
I enjoy doing the file work on
I do
on
too.
the spine. Don't have any on this one, but we have video of me working on another project
Yeah.
of mine. I really enjoy doing that. It makes a really cool aesthetic.
Yeah, that's pretty fun, and it's not too terribly hard to do. But
Mm-mm.
I think we got 2 good knives out of this deal.
I think so
man.
too. I'm gonna make a sheath for it, and if you see us at the Gun and Knife Show in Electra, I'll be wearing this.
Yeah, and I'll have that with me. I'll have my next project that's almost complete. It's sticking the vise right now. Some epoxy's gluing up. Something a little out there.
Oh, just like the one I've got, but yours is a lot. Again, we're going back to size. Yours is a lot bigger than mine.
This one's a little different animal. I'll probably have this out here as well, the elemental knife, and we may try to make a couple of these in time for that show.
Yeah,
that we'll have for sale, because I wouldn't sell this one. It's the first one I made.
But we will have knives, other sorts of blacksmithy kind of things that we're working on
Yeah.
at the show. So come.
We'll have t-shirts.
T-shirt.
A few anyway.
Yeah.
Well, the ones we have left. I have an idea for some business card holders, so
Nice.
I may make a few of those. Just some odds and ends of stuff, and hopefully we'll have, you know, I don't know, 10 or 15 knives or so to take with us.
Something like that. I'm hoping.
Yeah.
You know, I've got a few of mine that I've worked on at the house, and we'll see how it goes. Remember, on our videos, on our YouTube channel, please remember to like, subscribe, click the bell for notifications.
That's right.
Always
Just
forget
you
about
never
that.
know when we're gonna do some crazy stuff, and bam, there's a video.
Right. You never know. James caught himself on fire. Again.
Again, that'll be fun. All right, well, congratulations on forging your first knife, man.
Thank you very
That's
much.
awesome. Good job.
Appreciate it.
All right. Bye, everybody.